how do you think about, being a mother, and something you've been very, very open talking about, in the context of an incredibly demanding job where 24/7, oftentimes you're being forced to act?
The juggle is what it is. I think what I've done is try to describe what I actually do every day in a manner that is accessible and not too doom and gloom. Whatever we're doing at home, I try to relate back.
How do you relate back, though, when you're dealing with these world threats? How do you relate back to a young child?
I was thinking this morning about this, because I take my son to school every morning or try when I'm in town, and we've been reading Harry Potter together. He's now just turned 7, and we have this running conversation about who in the UN is Voldemort. And it changes, from week to week.
Who is it today?
No,
Speaking to the microphone.
What happens in the armored vehicle with your 7-year-old son on the way to school stays in the armored vehicle. And we used to, he was into I don't know if you know these British books called the Mr. Men. So they like Mr. Greedy, Mr. Happy, Mr. Tall, Mr. Tickle, Mr. Grumpy, Mr. Mean. And so we had, also.
So those are the code names for the world leaders.
Which was fine until
Mr. Mean. I want to know Mr. Mean and Mr.
Until
Grumpy.
I've learned enough. Diplomacy was not the first reason I was put in this job. But I'm getting better at it, so I'm going to refrain from. But it only gets awkward when you've done it and it's in like the cone with your child, and then we have all these receptions and parties and events at our apartment at my son's home, and then he'll be like, and sort of, is that him? As long as the doom and gloom stays a little bit at bay, which sometimes is a little challenging given what he sometimes overhears, I think it's only for the good, and these things can be made accessible, I think, for young people, and I just hope he becomes somebody who's invested in making things a bit better.